Most of us moms are not going to do it, but I'm telling you, we have to figure it out. We have to learn to do it. So this topic comes from, I was just in a mommy group that I actually really like because there's so many women in there. So you tend to have lots of different opinions and lifestyle perspectives on how you should raise your kids, all of that, because it's, a group geared to moms. Well, one of the things that happened today was there was a post about there's two parents, but basically it always seems to everything seems to follow mom. And as I was reading the comments, it made me realize that instead of putting boundaries in place for our kids, right, we will quickly blame the spouse or blame other people for not helping us. And the reason that we need so much help a lot of times is because we don't understand how to put a boundary in place to protect ourselves. So that's what I'm diving into today is boundaries for kids. It's not just the responsibility of your spouse to jump in and do all this ridiculous stuff that you want to do. Sometimes it really does mean you have to understand protecting your time, your money, and your energy, even when it relates to your kids. So let's talk about it. Um, I will be honest. I'm a mom of three. At this point, I only have one left in the nest, one in college, and the oldest child lives on her own. She has her own house, right? So I can absolutely remember the time with all three of them, and all three of them are very different kids, different activities, and I literally wore myself out trying to work. I did work for myself, luckily, although my job or my business owned me. But I did work for myself, but I absolutely spent all my time. I did not have boundaries with my kids, and it was very, very stressful for me. So it was easy to look at my husband and say, won't you do this? Or you see me struggling with this, or you see all these things where I'm sure it was pretty obvious to him that I was putting myself in those situations, right? Because what I never did with my kids, or at least when they were all there, is to set boundaries to say, look, I'm asking you what needs to get done this weekend. What do you need? Whatever. And I get it. They're kids. They can't always have the ability or the know how to let you know things in advance. But if I ask you, if we're reviewing things and things come up last minute, it also has to be handled like a last minute thing. However, the reverse was true for me. I allowed my kids to tell me what they needed at the last minute. So that meant the night before you had community day, because this just happened last week. My daughter did not tell us that she was responsible for bringing cheese to school for sandwich day, and the school has very particular instructions on what type of cheese that you need to bring because they want the sandwiches and all the things to be as uniform as possible. So she brings that up late at night, and my husband has to go to the store to get this cheese, and then the next morning she leaves the cheese in the house. Her bus stop is in a shopping center near a grocery store, so he buys cheese again in the morning, right? Because we didn't want the school to be disappointed because she forgot something. But that was what my life looked like when I had three kids in the house. They constantly were, there was no repercussion or responsibility on them. I just absorbed all the responsibility on me. So that means when you had something due to class, you needed me to stay up late signing stuff or helping you with something, you tell me last minute about your friend's birthday, and not only do I need to carve out the time to get you to this party that you didn't tell me about, that we are RSVPing to very late, so now I'm calling the parent, but then we got to get a gift, and now I'm basically dropping you, staying out in the streets while you're having fun with your friends, and I'm messing up my own agenda. So what I had to learn was my kids also needed boundaries. I needed to say and protect my own time. They also would tell me at the last minute, "Oh mom, I need this. I need these pants. I need this." A lot of times the stuff they said they needed, they didn't actually need. They just thought of one thing, they wanted that one thing, they weren't willing to think outside the box to all the other things they had in their closet, specifically like clothes. They weren't willing to think through because they knew mom was going to just go and bend over backwards, flip upside down, and do whatever it took to get them what they asked for, right? So, with three kids and just me doing that all the time, oh my gosh, it's so stressful. So, I totally understand where those women were in that comment where they were talking about why isn't the spouse helping out? Why isn't dad jumping to the rescue, right? Why isn't dad doing more? Why am I doing everything? So, one, I'm gonna ask, can you relate to that? Can you relate to that crazy life where you have kids and they are constantly asking you, like, I need you to do this, mom, I need this help, blah, blah, blah. And it feels like everything is last minute. I posted last week, I said, who runs your schedule? Is it you or is it your family? Because when I posted that, I think I made a plan for what my week was gonna look like. It turned into something else, and then it turned into even crazier because my daughter had like a party. It was like over an hour away. I had to stay out that way. It was just crazy stuff, all that I was not expecting to do, right? So the reality is I now only have one home, so it is a little easier to allow her to bend the boundary because I'm not balancing myself between three kids. But this is when I have learned how to have those boundaries and how to respect my own time. So even little stuff like right now, my nails, oh my God, they need to be redone. It looks like I have a grow out of like a fill in. These are my natural nails and it just need to be painted. I don't even need to go to a salon or anything, but I didn't find the time to do it. So what I do now is if I schedule time to hang out with my aunt, to go see my mom, to take a nap. Like I don't need to justify myself to everybody else. If this is my time and this is what I'm doing with my time and I have reason why that is important to me, then I make sure I get that done. I don't allow my kids, I don't allow other people to say, oh no, I need you to do this. This is an emergency, right? My mom, it was funny because she was the first person that I saw that this was years and years ago. On her desk, there was a sign that said, your failure to plan does not equal my emergency or something like that. So, and it was like before you entered her little office space, it was reminding you that just because you dropped the ball in 10 ways and now you're coming to me to fix everything, this does not equal an emergency for me. This is your problem. You're going to have that problem, and I'll do my best job to fix it. But you're getting in line when you come in here. You don't get to just come into my office with your emergency. And she's in the finance department, specifically like payroll, stuff like that. So you know goodness well people get crazy when you start talking about their check. And the same is true with moms, right? When our kids need something, we feel the need to just immediately respond and immediately give in and immediately fix stuff. And I don't take that approach anymore. I have my calendar, I know what I need to do. And I'm not saying that I'm not flexible. Sometimes I absolutely have to be flexible. But when my daughter comes to me and she's like, we should do this, or I need to do this, or can you take me here? I say, I have to do XYZ first, and I can see if I feel like doing it after. Or you need to wait until the weekend. I'm not doing all these runaround trips in the middle of the week when you have homework and I have other obligations as well. That was not the case when they were younger. If they said something, I felt like everything was an emergency, everything needed to be handled immediately, and I put everything that I had to do on the back burner. And I'm a index card person and write stuff in my planner, so I would see all this stuff just piling up that wasn't getting done, and it made me feel bad, right? It made me feel like I was an overwhelmed mom, but really what I needed was some boundaries. I needed to be able to say no. I needed to not feel bad about that. I needed to have my kids respect my time the same way that I wanted other adults to respect my time. The last point I'll share about this is I'm reading a book. It's by Rachel Rogers. It's called We Should All Be Millionaires. Especially if you are a Black woman, That is an awesome read. The challenge I have is she does curse. I don't love to recommend books where people just curse, in my opinion, for no reason, but the overall point is still salient about how we as women, moms, mothers, and especially women of color, we don't have a lot of power in this country. And we're always waiting for someone to kind of see our value versus doing what it takes to make the money so that we can guide, our communities and put money and energy into the things that we want to see and the change that we want to see, even for our families. So that book is really great. But she also touched on the boundaries with her kids. She said it was really hard for her. She was a lawyer first, and then she started her business coaching um, agency, but she said it was really hard because she also started her own law firm before she went into coaching. And she said she was there trying to land clients and all of this, and her kids created in their brain, basically from watching TV and getting all these tips from the outside world, that if I need something and I'm a kid, I go to my mom. I just go straight to her. I need her to stop what she's doing and to tend to me. And that's how family dynamics work. And she was like, no, like everybody in this house is going to contribute. And your contribution right now is, while mommy is working, you're going to stay and finish playing with your toys. And we have a set time for lunch and we have time for play. But if you interrupt me 10 times in the day, I can't get my work done. And therefore it bleeds over into your playtime and everything else. So she was very kind of, I'm not going to say no nonsense, but she put boundaries in place. She talked about how hard it was for her to do that, but it kind of struck a chord with me because clearly you can say, okay, she's a lawyer. She was working from home, building her business. And so she needed to have that separation of work time and time with kids. But the reality is, it doesn't matter whether you work outside the home, work in the home. We don't set boundaries with our kids. We want them to be comfortable. We want them to not feel nervous to ask us for anything. And so our response is, whenever they do ask, we just give it to them. We just jump in, we just change our schedules, but we don't teach them how to respect our time. We don't teach them how to respect our goals. We don't teach them how to respect our me time, right? So many mommies are always fighting for, like, how can I take care of myself? How can I have my me time? But we give it away. Like, you could have it, but you spent it driving back and forth to Walmart 5 times in a week, which is absolutely my story. I'm not as close to Target. I know most of y'all love Target. I live near a couple Walmarts. But anyway, boundaries with kids is important. It's not simple. I would love to hear what you guys think about this topic. And the next time you want to fuss and yell at your baby daddy, your husband, whoever he is, the kid's dad, I want you to first stop and think to yourself, is there a way that I can set a boundary and like really clean this up between me and my child before I try to elicit the help from a spouse? Now, I'm not at all saying excusing the spouse. I'm just asking you to first look at what you can do to protect your own time. Setting boundaries with kids, not simple. I would love to hear what you guys think, any suggestions, stuff you've done, and let's start this as a conversation. I'm definitely still learning, even though I only have one in the nest. It's a lot simpler now, but this was not my story for most of the time raising my 3 kids. I kind of felt like a doormat too. Like, I just let anything happen. And then at the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't have time because all these things happen. So let's talk about it. Thank you for sharing. You can share this post. I would love to get a lot of feedback, and I would love to hear how you guys think about boundaries with your kids. Talk to y'all later. Bye.